On a television screen, it must look very much like a jar of chocolate syrup. It's not. It's cancer salve, and it's deadly. It's killed before, it'll kill again. When it doesn't kill, it maims. It never cures. The man who mixed the salve wanted money, and he didn't care how he got it. He's what's generally referred to as a quack doctor. But somehow that term just doesn't cover my feelings on the subject. To me, the term murderer is much more appropriate. Tonight you'll meet one of his victims.
Confidential File. A report by Paul Coates, one of the nation's distinguished news reporters, brings you a factual report on America today, its people and their lives.
A moment ago, I told you the cancer salve I showed you will kill again. This is what I mean. There are thousands of medical charlatans in the United States. I'm not going to be able to put them out of business, neither is any other one man or any one governmental agency. But by showing the many millions of viewers of tonight's confidential file just as much as I can about how the quacks operate, I think we can hurt them. And any discomfort I can inflict on the quacks will be a great pleasure indeed. So let's see how they operate. In the first place, the quack has no problem in procurement of victims. All he has to do is find a person who is sick and who isn't too well informed. In sickness and in health, people tend to act pretty much like people. The first rule of conduct, self-preservation. This layout doesn't represent just one trip to the drugstore. She's been trying to treat herself for a long time. She's got a lump on her throat. It could be a swollen tonsil, a lymph node out of whack. It could be cancer. Of course, I'm not a doctor, but then neither is she. It's tough for people to learn that there's no royal road in medicine. You can't guess your way out of a sickbed. She went to a doctor once, quite a while ago, but now she figures these pills and ointments are a shortcut. Maybe they are. Now she can relax for half an hour until it's time for her next pill. She thought she could relax, but there goes the doorbell. You might not guess it, but this gal considers herself an angel of mercy. She heard her friend was sick and dropped everything to come over and see what could be done. She wants to know all about it. The same old soreness, only now a little worse. But this gal didn't come by just to warm up a bowl of soup for her sick friend. She's got something better in mind. Why waste time with regular doctors and drugstore medicines? Those regular doctors wouldn't cure you if they could. She knows just the man to set things right. Why, he's got a machine that'll diagnose and cure anything. She used to have pains all in through here and up here, and his machine has done wonders. The doc travels all around this area, but he happens to be in town now. She'll take her right down. Why suffer any longer? The doc doesn't have an office exactly. At present, he's located in a downtown hotel. He moves around a lot, sort of an itinerant Hippocrates. Has machine, will travel. The prospective patient's a little uneasy, but her friend is reassuring, and since she's come this far, she may as well meet the doc in his magic machine. The doctor here may never have gone to college, but his bedside manner will challenge the best of Johns Hopkins. After a thorough examination, he'll get at the core of the trouble. First, a few questions about the patient's history, and he doesn't even need a nurse or a notebook. Doesn't even have to wash his hands. Now to make the patient comfortable, and then they'll get down to business. This condition is nothing new to the doc. He's handled hundreds of cases just like it. Of course, he's never cured one, but why bother the patient with little details like that? She feels pretty noble. She's done her friend a great service. If you notice an absence of stethoscopes, thermometers, and other medical paraphernalia, don't let it upset you. This doctor doesn't go in for them. He's got something better. She doesn't even have to undress. The machine will find out what's wrong. The modern counterpart of the ancient medicine man. He's traded in his boar's tooth and magic wand for an electrical appliance. But his stock in trade is still ignorance and superstition. The 20th century witch doctor talks in terms of atomic rays and supersonic vibrations. The diagnosis is done with squeaks. It takes a while. The doc's got to manipulate the knobs and get tuned in just right. If the patient looked closely, she'd see that the knobs are connected to nothing except the back of the box, but she's too busy being cured. The heart of the machine, however, is hooked up. It works on the same principle as a phonograph player. In fact, until the doc's ingenuity turned it into a superonic cure-all, it was a phonograph player. It's warming up now, and she feels something. She's convinced. Needless to say, one of this man's most effective tools is the power of suggestion. What good is a superonic machine without a superonic chart? Now you divide the square root of the illness by the hypotenuse of the patient's bankroll, and the first thing you know, you're a rich man. The doctor has his own portable drugstore, too, and he operates on a pretty comfortable margin of profit. This little man is not harmless, he's deadly. Because while his machine and his pills may not do the patient any injury, he will prevent her from placing herself in the hands of a competent, licensed doctor, and of arresting her trouble before it reaches the acute stage. More mumbo-jumbo. The pills are treated atomically by colored Christmas tree bulbs. There's no way of telling how many of these practitioners without portfolio are on the loose, preying on the sick and the afraid. They're hard to catch up with, mainly because their patients won't cooperate with the authorities until it's too late. But they could and should be wiped out. You'll find out later tonight that the pills some of these quacks hand out have maimed and even killed. He'll prescribe heavy dosage. The sooner she runs out, the sooner she'll be back. She feels better already, she thinks. Payment in cash. The doc may not be around the 1st of next month. And that's just the beginning. She'll be back until she runs out of money or runs out of time. The machine you saw in the film couldn't hurt anyone. Pills were sugar with maybe a little seaweed or such like mixed in, perfectly harmless. But the quack wasn't harmless. He could have caused the woman's death. Suppose the lump on her throat were cancer. The period during which she was under treatment by the quack could well have been the critical stage of her disease, the time when it would have still been possible for competent physicians to save her life. You might call it death by default. May I have your name, please?
Grant Leak,
And your age, please?
34.
Your occupation?
Food and Drug Inspector for the state of California.
And your job involves putting medical quacks and charlatans like the one we saw in the film just now into jail, is that right?
Yes, it does. At least we arrest them and the courts put them in jail.
Well, what statute or legal authority governs the violations of this kind?
The Health and Safety Code of the state of California.
And what kind of penalties does it provide for the type of offense we saw in the film?
In the case of a felony, such as attempted grand theft or conspiracy, it's a felony offense which is punishable by the penal code. A person may get from 1 to 5 years in the state penitentiary.
Mm-hmm. Well, what happens in cases where the victims are physically injured by the quack treatment?
In such a case as that, the courts may impose a prison sentence.
Mm-hmm.
However, many of these cases end up as a misdemeanor. The actual physical damage to the individual has nothing to do many times with the stiffness of the sentence.
Mm-hmm. Are there similar codes in other states?
Yes, there are.
And where is the medical charlatan most prevalent in this country?
They're most prevalent wherever, in whatever state, there are retired or elderly people.
Mm-hmm.
The quacks seem to follow such elderly people like camp followers.
That's easy marks, huh?
Yes.
You have some pictures that you brought with you, Grant. I'd like to have you explain them.
Yes, this particular picture here is the picture of a young woman who used the black external cancer salve. This caused an ulceration on the skin as a result of the croton oil being contained in the salve. The second picture here of the man in which the same salve was used on his upper lip. You can see the crater that was left. The quack in this case told the party that he probably had a cancer of the lower part of the brain or the back of the neck. You can see from the side pose that the terrible destructiveness of the use of this salve. It completely sloughed away practically down to the bone.
Has the use of this cancer salve resulted in death?
Yes, in several instances.
And what happened to the man who was responsible for these deaths, Grant?
He served 10 months in jail and is out free today.
What's the average penalty imposed by the courts on quacks like this?
It is a simple misdemeanor. A person may get as little as $25 fine or may receive 6 months in jail.
But what you're saying is that you're not usually able to get them behind bars, are you?
That's correct.
I'd like you to answer a question for me. What's the penalty under the law for mixing hamburger with horse meat?
It's a felony offense, punishable 1 to 3 years in the state penitentiary and up to $5,000 fine.
And yet most quacks are men who are potential killers and they get off with a fine or just a probation.
Yes, or they're charged with a misdemeanor in most cases.
Mm-hmm. Well, you certainly collected a mountain of evidence against that one man who was responsible for the pictures you showed us.
Yes, and it wasn't easy. Most of the people that we talked to were extremely reluctant to even give us a statement. They were entirely uncooperative.
Well, what do you feel that your department and other pure food and drug departments across the country need the most in the fight against the medical quack?
Well, first of all, I think trained personnel is the #1 requisite. We have only 33 such personnel in this state.
And is it generally true that other states are short-handed?
Yes, I believe that to be true.
And what else do you think you need in the fight?
Well, I think one of the prime needs is the cooperation by the public to channel certain information to our office or to the agency.
I see. There are as many different types of quack operations as there are quacks. Mr. Leak has brought some of the devices and the drugs that his office has confiscated. I'd like you to see them now.
Mr. Coates, this is one of the simpler electrical devices which the Bureau has seized in recent years. The operator in this case would merely dial the particular illness which he is treating. It would then cause the plate here to light up, resulting in him dispensing a combination of cornstarch, sugar pills, and whatnot.
Mm-hmm. So in other words, you take one of the sugar pills and you can cure sexual impotency, sinus, tooth decay, fatigue, gas, and heartburn.
Oh, there's no question about it.
And what is this?
Well, turn it on and I'll show you how it works. This is an ozone generator. You see here a series of tubes filled with mercury and neon. You have a transformer here in the box. High voltage is passed through these tubes, creating ozone gas. Not only does it create ozone, but it produces oxides of nitrogen, which is 10 times more toxic than carbon monoxide. An estimated $500,000 worth of these devices were sold all over the United States as a cure for heart disease, kidney ailments, high blood pressure, and many other diseases.
So turn it off before we both die, huh?
Might be a good idea. Here we have a simple device which was known as the electronically active steel ball bearing. This device was supposed to be energized with 81,000 volts of electricity. The vendor represented to a Navy chief's wife in San Diego that he could permanently arrest any pain that she might have by merely passing this over the person's body. He was prosecuted in San Diego Municipal Court and was given 30 days in the county jail. Next, we have the case of the Magic Spike. This device was manufactured back in Illinois. Thousands of these devices were sold all over the United States. It is supposed to be radioactive. The patient in this case would merely place it on their body adjacent to the ailing part, and the radioactivity coming off of this tube was supposed to cure all types of ailments. Incidentally, this sold for from $300 to $2,300, depending upon the size model that you wanted. Paul, this converted table model radio that you see here is known as the oscilloclast. Many hundreds of these were sold in the Northern California area. The patients suffering from such diseases as cancer, kidney ailments, would merely turn the machine on and then would place this plate to the affected area in the body. The manufacturer of the device and the sales agent were charged with a conspiracy. However, this penalty was later reduced to a misdemeanor. The salesman paid a $200 fine, and the manufacturer got off scot-free.
And what is this?
Next, we have we might call it a highball manufacturer, that is, radioactively so. This device was attempted to be sold in Southern California for $10,000. It was supposed to contain approximately $8,000 worth of radium alone. Actual analysis by laboratory showed that it contained $1.30 worth of radium. A person suffering from such illnesses as heart disease, kidney ailments, high blood pressure, would merely drink 6 to 8 glasses of this water a day, and a cure of such ailments was positive. The 2 distributors in this area that were prosecuted were charged with a conspiracy to falsely advertise a device. They were granted 3 years probation in San Diego Superior Court.
And this was manufactured, I see, in New York City.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Well, Grant, I want to thank you very much for your cooperation tonight, and I hope we were able to do some good.
Thank you, Mr. Coates.